Spawning at the bottom right, we got our blue Zerg playing for Alpha X. Give it up for Ragnarok.
In the bottom left of Blackburn for Team GP, the Terran player RYUNG. Yeah, so don't get confused by the name of the Zerg player that you see on your screen. It is in fact Ragnarok. He just recently has gone by his actual real name. So yeah, to avoid confusion, Zerg player is in fact Ragnarok.
Yeah.
We're spawning into Blackburn over here, which is a map that, well, just by its layout, likes to be split. Terrans have frequented some proxy wrecks here, so we see one overlord out of Ragnarok trying to look for that, but as observers with the whole vision, we see that RYUNG is not going for that. RYUNG just sending one SCV across the map to I was gonna say scout the natural, but it looks like he wants to block that third base attempt with an engineering bay, which is always an interesting choice. And yeah, Ragnarok is going to find that this is happening and has to maybe switch up his build here a little bit, because yeah, this third base for the time being is not going up.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the better maps to do so, to do the hatchery block on the third base, because you know he does only have like two other options: either go for the gold base, which makes it vulnerable, or go for the triangular base, which is a bit closer to the Terran, which makes the Terran push more lethal. So I do like this kind of play here by RYUNG to block that the third base of the Zerg.
Looks like Ragnarok isn't overreacting to this by any means, though. He's just taking it a little bit slower, taking that queen from the natural off of creep to chase away the Reaper, and then the Lynx can take care of that engineering base. So yeah, this will obviously delay the third base, but it's not like it's a huge loss for the Zerg player, because behind this he was still continuously building drones and building queens, and yeah, it's just a trade-off, because as a Terran player, this is not a non-investment. You have to send that SCV across. You need to build that engineering bay, but yeah, overall probably evens out, and the biggest damage that this is dealing is throwing off the Zerg player off his game. But Ragnarok is an experienced, well-versed player that yeah, should be able to deal with this without any further problems and transition into the well, mid-game stages of the game without any struggles from here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, of course, we do all have our set plays, our set builds with precise timings, but you know, in the game of StarCraft, a lot of the times those plans do get interrupted, and you gotta adapt to that. And you know, both of these players, of course, has played so many pro level games that, of course, they have, you know, experienced these typical scenarios where their build order does get interrupted a bit, and they have to kind of play from there and just adapt. So yeah, no problem for Ragnarok after this third base does get blocked off. But in the meantime, we do see these Hellions trying to poke in, but these queens will meet them at the front. And, these three queens are like the gatekeeper of of hell.
Well, they might have to evolve into something even bigger, because we see out of RYUNG here something that's not quite meta anymore. The battlecruiser. This is what I like about RYUNG. He's not afraid to throw out stuff that is a little out of the norm, but the Zergling, it's getting into the base of RYUNG, sees everything, and now Ragnarok has all the time in the world to prepare for that battlecruiser. He didn't see the armies going down, so he did not fully see that this was going to be Actually, did he see the factories building? I'm not sure. He probably did. So yeah, he just knows everything at this point. He knows that there's a battle cruiser on the way. He knows that this is going to be a mech. Yeah. So all the time in the world to prepare for that and to think of a plan to deal with this.
Yeah, that was a huge scout, man. That and RYUNG had like plenty of opportunities to prevent that. He could have lifted up those supply depot and prevented the scout, but just didn't quite do it in time. And there we go. First battlecruiser does teleport into the natural here. This is actually a nice spot because there's a nice little dead airspace behind this second between the second and third base. So the battlecruiser can kind of just chill there a little bit.
Oh, Kenneth though is trying to get it out and flies it into even more screens here. 6 drones initially is fine, but yeah, now it just has to sit there and wait for the teleport to come off cooldown again. But yeah, I mean, considering that Ragnarok knew this was coming, 6 drones is about what you the best that you can hope for as a Terran player. And yeah, well, it's the unit's not going to be lost, right? You can just wait for the teleport, get it back, join it up with this main army. Behind this, he's just getting his economy up, Ragnarok that is, and yeah, building up his mech forces. It's interesting though that RYUNG has only built a single battlecruiser though, so Ragnarok here is committing into those corruptors, and well, usually this would be great, getting a early head start on the corruptors, but he's now building 10 corruptors, and there's only going to be a single battlecruiser. So this would be great if RYUNG was continuously building battlecruiser, which I guess now he is. Well. when I started my point, there was no battlecruiser in the production tab, but now, well, this has unintentionally gotten better for Ragnarok just by RYUNG continuously making battlecruisers again.
Yeah, that's a little bit curious. Like, you would think like, oh, okay, he's not building any more battlecruisers. Like, okay, he's just stopping there. But all of a sudden, he just remakes another one. But by that time, you would expect that the Zerg has a decent amount of anti-air for that. So yeah, a little bit of a curious choice there by RYUNG to restart those battlecruisers production.
Like, usually it is a valid option to continuously build battlecruisers. You just usually don't stop for a minute or two and then fire the production back up. So yeah, but doesn't seem to have any major implications for the time being. I think RYUNG now stopped at 3 battlecruisers, which well, I guess Ragnarok has identified and is not building any more corruptors. If there was continued battlecruiser production, you would want to go up to even more corruptors, but he has a good amount now to well, maybe not dive onto them, but at least keep them at bay. And yeah, Ragnarok now turned well, going for a bit more of a substantial army in those roaches, getting all the upgrades for that, getting a nice catch on the Hellions on the top side of the map, always nice. Yeah, Ragnarok sitting at 86 roads, really nice economy, now getting up to a more substantial army as well as more tech.
A little bit of some sloppy plays here by RYUNG. Just kind of sacrificing, you know, some units here and there, and then I mean to go along with the, you know, the kind of restarting the battlecruisers, and then also he actually researched Yamato cannon, which is, you know, if you're not gonna go full on battlecruisers, I mean, why research that? I would say you could probably spent that extra resources on something else. But yeah, just some few curious, questionable plays coming out of RYUNG right now.
Well, you say that right as Ragnarok is finishing up, I believe like 13. Excuse me, 13 Swarm Modes finishing up, which is another curious choice because the infestation pit it was done for a while. He even started the hive up. And then, yeah, decided to go for these Swarm Modes, and now the gold base is going to be under attack here, and these Locusts are going to land, and if they wanted to, they could just snipe down this planetary fortress, and it looks like they're succeeding. Locust DPS is just really good.
Yeah, they're so deadly. And, that's a
Yamato drones.
I think so. Again, a bit of curious decisions here by RYUNG this particular game. For some reason, he's doing unconventional things that you would not expect. But I guess sometimes people have their days.
I mean, those drones are not getting away from getting Yamato, but it's obviously just one drone at a time. Once again, the next Locust wave here finding a bit of value, but with all these Halberds on the ground tanking for the mech army, that wasn't the Locust wave that he was hoping for. And now RYUNG is finding a pretty nice siege position here onto that gold base of Ragnarok, and yeah, Ragnarok just really has to wait for the next Locust wave to become available to be able to fight this here.
Yeah, and it's not going to be in time to save this hatchery. So, I mean, this gold base is vulnerable to start off with, and looks like RYUNG will take advantage of that. In the meantime, oh my god, these... Oh my goodness, that was so brutal. All those Ravagers and Roaches just getting annihilated in the slow zone there. Looks like Ragnarok is going to go ahead and finally kill all those Locusts. But is it going to be enough? It looks like all these Hellbats are going to actually clean them up. So he's going to lose another hatchery here on the top right. Oh my goodness, things are falling apart for our Blue Zerg.
Yeah, that was once again the same mistake that he did in the previous engagement. All these Locusts were immediately evaporated by the Hellbat Sanctuary. He's now cleaning it up with Lynx and Roaches, I guess, but he's really not getting the value out of the Swarm host that he's looking for. Obviously, the Locusts are free units, but they're on such a long cooldown that you really need to make something happen with them. And once again, the Locusts are going to engage into Halberds. I guess the Banelings now clean up the Halberds, so now the Locusts are connecting with the tanks. But yeah, Ragnarok just completely out of steam here. Without the Locusts, he cannot fight, and he never found favorable trades against the army. So RYUNG here. Let's talk about the expectations that we have out of this player. I think it's a fair assumption that no one in their right mind would call RYUNG like among the absolute top Korean Terrans, right? You just have these Marus and Cures, and they're just on another level. RYUNG though, he's because he doesn't have any expectations to fill. He can just throw this wilder stuff, the battle cruiser openings, the mech play, and yeah, kind of get away with it. And it has shown ever since he came back. RYUNG has been a very strong player for Team GP in the World Team League, for example. Yeah, and it's just a bit crazy for me to see that he can really hang with the best here and steal maps out of top players, because arguably Ragnarok is the favorite in this game. I don't think that's a bold statement, and yeah, just by defying the expectations, he's making it work for himself.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's like kind of, RYUNG is like in the same like maybe scenario with like maybe BL that we saw in the last game, where they're kind of making their way up. They have been, of course, long time players, but there are like so many strong players in Korea that it's really tough to break through that next tier. And so yeah, it would be great to see RYUNG kind of getting himself into that conversation at the very least. We'll see how his 2022 year goes, but yeah, he definitely has a lot of work for him. And yeah, I agree. I think Ragnarok is going to be the favorite. He's been kind of more consistent, I would say, and he's been actually putting up some nice results as of late. getting into a lot of like top 8 scenarios in tournaments. So it looks like he's kind of building up his momentum for this 2022 year.
Well, I guess technically the 2021 year isn't quite over yet because we still have the big climax with the IEM Katowice happening, right? And that is still technically part of the 2021 season. So maybe we can well, call it that. He's building up for that. And yeah, I agree that Ragnarok is someone that right now is probably in the peak of his form, at least over the last 2 years or so. I think he's it's a very consistent player on the ladder, and and now it's also showing in his results. And that's kind of how it goes on the Korean server a lot of the times. You get these players that are always good, but suddenly they jump up like another 100, 150, 200 MMR, break into the top 5 on the Korean ladder, and that's sometimes a good indication of a player getting into form, into player peaking, and that is what has happened to Ragnarok in the last couple of weeks. Well, let's see if it, first of all, he can show it to us in this series, in this tournament, and then also transition it into the World Championship in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we shall see. But in the meantime here, it looks like once again, RYUNG going for that battlecruiser play. I guess he just loves his battlecruisers. Didn't really, I don't know, it wasn't quite as effective as I would have hoped, or at least I think he would have hoped in the last game, but maybe this time around he can kind of make it work.
I mean, I wouldn't say it didn't work, but I also wouldn't say it completely failed.
Yeah.
The battlecruisers did. It was just weird because he was building one and he wasn't building a second one for some time, and then he went up to 3. They had some value in there, and I'm just curious to see if we're going to see a bit of a different approach this time around, where maybe he continues building them right away. But I think if you throw down double armory, do you even have the minerals and gas to just continuously play these battlecruisers? I'm not a Terran expert, so I'm not sure. For the time being, it looks like this time around, second battlecruiser is in production right after the first one.
It looks like,
but now he doesn't have the gas to start the upgrade, so I guess I was right.
Yeah, I mean, going for mech and these battlecruisers is a lot of resources you gotta, of course, use. Of course, he does have the third base to start mining off of those gases. Oh, gotta be careful with this battlecruiser. Don't want to lose it.
Oh, it lives. 10 HP. Come on. That was a close one, and well, this time around he just really has to keep it in the dead airspace and teleport it back to for repair or maintenance. Yeah, no more potential of getting any more drone kills with that. Yeah, similar start to the first game. I believe you got like 7 drones this time around. In the first game you got 6. So while that is similar to the first game, the response out of Ragnarok isn't, because we do see the Spire, yes, but this time 11 Mutalisks on the way.
Yeah, so he's gonna go ahead and try to catch RYUNG off guard, but oh, unfortunately for him, those Hellions does catch his eye on these Mutalisks.
And the battlecruiser just made it out before the Mutas could catch up to this, and now the Mutas did show themselves, and now turrets are building. The two Thors are coming out, and I'm afraid that Ragnarok might not get as much done with these Mutalisks as he would have hoped.
Yeah, Mutalisks are very reliant on the element of surprise a lot of times, and that element of surprise is completely gone. So right now, all he can do is trying to fly around and try to find some openings, but it's going to be quite difficult because those doors are going to be underneath and those doors do have some nice range on those missiles, so it's gonna have to be careful. I don't expect these mutalisks to get like too much done, but if he can kind of amass maybe an optimal amount of mutalisks, then maybe he can overwhelm and like just kind of get on top of each doors. But just as you just witnessed, those doors are just really effective against those mutalisks.
RAGNAROK is sticking to the muta production, and this is something that RYUNG needs to identify. He needs to continue to build Thors, because it does sound stupid because RYUNG has all these anti-air, right? He has a bunch of battle cruisers. He has Thors, but RAGNAROK is going for a bit of a Hail Mary play here. He's continuously building Mutalisks and just wants to jump on top of the army and take care of these big threats, which are the Thors. And I guess now RYUNG has identified that the Mutacon has been rising and adding on more Thors. But for the time, for a second there, it was scary for RYUNG, because if these two Thors die, the battle cruisers wouldn't have been enough for anti-air. But yeah, RYUNG recognizing it, building 3 more Thors, and well, also triggers RAGNAROK into, well, not giving up, because he has 18 of them, but he once again is going for these swarm hosts, which well, maybe he has learned from last game to take the better engagement with them, but it's a bit of a flimsy army composition, isn't it? It's an army that really never wants to fight straight up. Mutalisks don't want to fight the Thors straight up. Swarm hosts, well, if they don't have their locusts, they can't even fight straight up. They're just well, hitting mushrooms in the middle of the map. But well, maybe he's gonna find the damage here with these swarm hosts. RYUNG is certainly not going to expect them here.
Yeah, I think this is actually the swarm host plays might actually work out better on this map.
Oh,
this map is, let's hold that thought, as Stanley's gonna connect with some of these SCVs, not as much, but I mean, really RYUNG can afford to lose out some of these SCVs. I mean, he's got a lot of bases. He's gonna build up to a lot of orbitals for those mules, so not the end of the world here. Losing those 10 SCVs, he's still a healthy amount. But yeah, as I was saying. What was I saying? Completely forgot. Lost my train of thought.
I don't know what you were saying, but what I was gonna say, that first wave of locusts was horrible. It didn't do anything. It didn't kill any SCVs. It didn't take care of the planetary. It didn't quite focus fire that right. That was disastrous. And if the next wave of swarm hosts also doesn't get anything done, this is I'm fearing for RAGNAROK here, because he's still on this army position that needs to get stuff done, but the mutas have been deflected at every turn. The swarm hosts haven't gotten stuff done, and now RAGNAROK is even forced onto the defensive here, with the battle cruisers venturing out onto the map here, and they can go home whenever they decide to. Yep, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I remember what I was saying. I was like thinking like, okay, yeah, this map is pretty big, so these swarm host play can actually work out better compared to the last game, but you need an optimal amount of swarm hosts to actually make it work. Enough locusts so that you can kind of do decent amount of damage, because those Hellbats can really just kill evaporate all those locusts really easily, and of course those Thors can tank some of those locust shots. So yeah, you can't really make it work with only a couple of locusts. You gotta make more. I think he's currently on only 11 swarm hosts, maybe around like 16 to 18, maybe. And I think that could have been more beneficial. But yeah, these locusts not quite working out this far.
I'm just really afraid for RAGNAROK here. The second locust wave killed 11 SCVs, but at this stage of the game, not the biggest of deals, and now. What does RAGNAROK have to fight? He's going back into muta production against how many Thors do we have? Against 9 Thors on the map. How is RAGNAROK ever going to find a favorable fight here?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think maybe his best bet is to just go for like a base trade of some sort. He does have the mobility with those mutalisks. However, it's going to be. I mean, you can use locusts to kind of use as a defensive mechanism, while buying time while those mules try to clean up Young's base. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I mean, when this mech army gets to mechs and there's a bunch of doors and stuff, it's like it's just gets really tough. So I'm a little worried for Ragnarok as well.
He's at least going to lose this base. He has no defenses available for that as well, and it looks like he just he's now investing super heavily into Bailing. So maybe he wants to like crush the mech army with the with Locust, Mutalisks, and Bailings, and just really hope for the Thors to be stacked and to clean them up all at once. But it's a crazy attempt to me, and I don't want to call it a lost cause because it hasn't happened yet. It's just so hard for Ragnarok to execute that properly.
Yeah, Ling, Bailing, and Mulus, they can work, I guess, like from the mid to late game, but you really need to transition to something else, and it's getting to the point where, yeah, you probably should transition to something else. However, like, what does he transition to at this stage? I mean, he can try to go for Broodlords, but it takes so much time right now. And even if he does go for Broodlords, those doors are actually pretty effective against that. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what Ragnarok can do right now. What do you think?
I mean, he does have the option to go Ultralisk as well, which well, same scenario kind of. You're really gonna struggle against these doors, but I guess like for the time being, RYUNG is giving Ragnarok the time to make up his mind on what he wants to do. But for the past like 2 to 3 minutes or so, I think if RYUNG had wanted to, he could have just gone for it at any time, because Ragnarok never had an army to really fight. Locust making another attempt, but what are they gonna take out? 2 SCVs and a missile turret, maybe? I mean, 4 SCVs and no missile turret is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, in Pokemon terms, that was basically a tickle attack. That just barely did anything against RYUNG. So yeah, these Stormhosts, I think maybe he can try to go for like a Nidus play, go for the main instead, and try to at least shut down the production buildings, because these Locusts are doing absolutely nothing against the army of RYUNG. I feel like he really needs to go for maybe some investors right now, because one of the things that you can do is you can kind of neuroparasite those doors and use those doors as a way to kind of break through the mech army of RYUNG. However, it looks like he is transitioning into Broodlords instead with the Great Aspire. I'm not sure if that's quite effective, but I guess we shall see. Those doors are again really effective against the Broodlord, so I'm not quite sure if that's the correct tech of choice, but maybe with some Vipers or some Queen Transfuse, maybe he can make it work, I guess.
I think as Ragnarok here, he just needs to get rid of these Fromos now entirely. They're just filling up his supply count here and not really doing anything. So he should get rid of them, and that's exactly what he's doing here now. He's killing him with his own Mutalisks.
Wow, that's something you don't really see every day.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, something that we haven't mentioned yet is RYUNG has gone back and added on double eBay and is now researching bio upgrades, and I don't think he's going to want to make a full switch back into bio. He's just getting all these upgrades purely for the ghost that he's adding on, which is kind of a fancy play. At some point you need to add ghosts, but yeah, going back and actually researching the infantry upgrades for those is something that you don't see a whole lot of Terrans doing.
Yeah, I think it could actually set himself into a scenario where if he does somehow lose his entire mech army, mech army is really tough to rebuild. It takes a lot of time, so maybe in his mind he's like thinking, okay, I have the option, if I could build all these infantry units, maybe get some barracks production going on, maybe I can do like a complete switch into bio tank, and just like kind of similar to, I guess, the Zoun versus BO match, where Zoun went for air toss, but you completely switch into ground during the mid to late game. So I guess that's like kind of a similar idea in terms of Terran going for mech throughout this entire game, but then all of a sudden switching into bio tank play.
Right now he really only has 3 barracks, so it's just for the ghost reduction. But well, we're gonna have to keep an eye on whether he wants to add on more barracks and keep that option to himself. But for the time being, let's talk at what's at hand here. The mech army did move out onto the map, took out a base, pretty much uncontested. We have nukes in play now as well, and RAGNAROK, he's finally getting into an army composition that can actually fight something. I want to say the brute lord count is really good now. We have infestors underneath to support, so as long as the Thors don't get in range of these brute lords, the brute lords are now actually something that is a standing army, right? That's way more substantial than just Lingbane Lingmuta or 11 Swarmhost. So what I'm curious about is, do we have neuroparasite? Yes, we do have neuroparasite. So with these infestors, it's really going to become a bit of a micro battle here. The ghosts need to land the EMPs or the snipes on the infestors, and the infestors are going to look to try and first disrupt the ghosts from getting close, and maybe even get neuroparasites on some of the Thors.
All right, looks like we're heading into that really late game here, where both players are pretty much split the map, and there's only a couple of few minerals or bases left over to take and claim. Oh, looks like these mutalisks will catch this battlecruiser. Nice find there.
Putting a Matter 1 and teleport out, yeah. But by the way, now RYUNG has now completed the 3-3 upgrades for exactly 9 ghosts that he has on the field. so the investment into upgrades was pretty much the same that it was into the units that he's actually built. Now the mutants are trading out here. Well, I guess he just wants to get rid of them at this point, trying to see what can make happen. Just a bit of an annoyance to RYUNG more than anything, but yeah. RAGNAROK does want to get rid of those to further his late game army here with these brute lords. The brute lord count is now up to 18, so that's very substantial. It's just all about whether the infestors can have the impact into the fight that they're looking for.
All right, looks like both these players not quite ready to fully engage, but RYUNG, of course, doing the smart thing. He's of course trying to break through all these static defenses with those nukes. So just a nuke here and there, which is really nice, I gotta say. He's being active with his force instead of just like sitting back at home, which again, brood lords are really great, but one of the weaknesses, of course, is that they're not mobile. So if you can kind of swing left and right,
big EMP on the infestors. Only one infestor with energy remaining, so RYUNG could look to fight here, but I guess he's just happy denying that base for the time being. Sorry for interrupting you there.
Oh no, it's all right. Yeah, there's plenty of actions happening across the map. A lot of harasses here and there. We just did see, of course, those a few Hellions trying to roast some drones. Of course, at this stage of the game, 7 drones isn't the biggest of deals. Both of these players have plenty of resources banked up that they can afford to lose some workers. In fact, it's probably better if they can kind of trade out the workers right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's the thing that I'm a bit worried about for RAGNAROK here is we're getting closer and closer to a split map scenario, and RYUNG is already mining from the entirety of half of his map, whereas RAGNAROK is yet to establish this one base on the west side of the map. There, it's only just building, and then he's completely given up on the triangular base below his main base, which still has some minerals and gas to be mined. And well, RYUNG is mining literally from all of the bases on his side of the map already.
Yeah, he's gonna be pretty healthy in terms of the economy. However, that does mean that
I mean, this is just hilarious. This is stuff that you only see on RYUNG, really.
actually I think it might work.
It might work. It might take care of this hype here. That would be pretty huge.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Okay. Well, this is in how long has StarCraft 2 been around? It's been like 12 years now. I think you don't get a lot of firsts anymore, but having 2 Thor drops sniping a hype at 24 minutes might have been a first for me.
This has been a while, definitely.
He just called on a mule into his own nuke. Ay. That mule didn't deserve to live, I guess. Wow. We're getting closer and closer to a big fight. The base on the west side has once again been denied for Ragnarok. The Thor drop still being active, still looking for more. What's it gonna go for this time? I guess Ragnarok does have a backup layer, but he's not really going for the hive yet, and the lair it might just die as well. Actually, for the time being, the Greater Spire is under attack, and right now there's nothing being sent back from Ragnarok. Ragnarok is just looking for the big fight on the other side of the map, and he's getting a good first rate of so many Brootlings taking care of 2 Thors. That planetary evaporating. How many Brootlords are in the sky? 26!
Yeah, that is a ridiculous amount of broodlords right there. Holy cow! And what does RYUNG have against it? I mean, he does have 6 ghosts. Is that enough? I don't think so. I don't think he has a lot.
Ragnarok is scared of the nuke. He doesn't have detection there, so he can't really snipe that ghost. On the other side of the map, by the way, the double Thor drop has taken care of the Greater Spire, of the second Spire, and another lair. So Ragnarok just really in shambles when it comes to the tech back at home. At least he did add on another Spire before his lair died, but he's gonna have to rebuild a lair and a hive again. And now RYUNG is looking for a fight. The big Dorito cannon on all of these Brute Lords. And right now he's just chasing. Oh, another EMP going down onto these Infestors. The Infestors really not adding any value for the time being. And RYUNG is just giving chase here. Ragnarok, he cannot fight.
Oh my goodness. I think he just overdid it on the Broodlords. There's absolutely no Corruptors here to defend. And he's going to have to fly all his way back home where all his Spore Crawlers are to finally be able to engage. But oh my goodness, yeah, he should really add in some Corruptors, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go ahead and make 22 Corruptors. And that could have been scary. He could have lost all his Broodlords there.
I mean, the already wasn't great. It cleared up a lot of the creep in the middle of the map. That little move out here out of RYUNG, and RYUNG's Remax is looking so scary. More ghosts, more Thors building in, and Ragnarok he really doesn't have this anchor point anymore. He doesn't have a super well protected base or middle of a map that he can set up, and this base is once again being taken out if RYUNG wants to. I guess he just wants to let it live for the time being.
Oh my goodness.
The banks out of both players is kind of ridiculous here. RYUNG is mining out his half of the map a lot faster though, because he's just been mining for so long.
Yeah, it looks like RYUNG is mining of nearly 2k minerals and 800 or so gas. Looks like 1.1 for Ragnarok in terms of minerals, and then only 300 or so gas. So yeah, it looks like RYUNG is kind of mining off a bit more. I mean, he does have 63 workers compared to it was a second ago. It was like 30 something or so, 35 or 36 drones. He just made additional drones to push out to 40, but yeah, the mining bases are dwindling. So yeah, it's getting to the point where every a little amount of minerals and gas is gonna matter.
We also have to keep in mind here that his bank is looking fine, right? But he has to keep reinvesting into building his tech structures. This is the third spire that he's lost this game. He had to rebuild another layer and a hive, and I believe he has another backup layer still as well. So that's also going money that's not going into the army value out of the Zerg player.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, approaching the 30-minute mark, you don't want to be remaking buildings. I mean, you want to invest those resources into army instead. So, yeah, a little bit funny there. But, of course, it's all due to those 2 doors earlier on that were dropped that did so much damage.
Yeah, they literally cleaned up 2 entire bases. Well, at least RAGNAROK was able to establish this base on the west side of the map there. But this Terran army is looking so scary, and yeah, he has the opportunity to just leapfrog his way forward with these nukes coming in. How did these links get there?
I was asking the same question. I was like,
there's no native, there's no drop. What just happened?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, man.
They also have liberators in the composition now as well to zone out the infestors even more, which is it's really all about these infestors here. Whether they can take over a couple of these stores, whether they can land fungals on the ghosts, and yeah, I feel like at this stage of the game, it's probably easier to execute as a Terran player compared to what the Zerg needs to do, because the army is just you know, if nothing happens and these armies just clash, the Terran player just wins, right? And it takes more finesse, I guess. Getting the right engagement for the Zerg player.
I mean, the man got 12.6k minerals in the bank, so I think yeah, I do favor RYUNG right now. But man, these broodlords, how many of them are there? Okay, 18 of broodlords. So, and he still has a sizable force. So, yeah, it's gonna be crazy once the army engages and clashes. It's going to be very interesting to see how that what the outcome will be of that. But yeah, both of them are looking to be base training of some sort, it looks like. And yeah, it looks like they're all remaking their buildings. RYUNG remaking his at the bottom right, and RYUNG just remaking from the little amount of bases that he has.
Oh, he knurled the ghost, and second place! He neurals the ghost and EMPs all of the ghosts. There's very little energy now left on the ghost. 6th place out of RAGNAROK here, staying in this game. That was so crucial that this happened. And now he might even be able to look for the fight. The infestors are closing in, looking to give chase on the fungals here, only getting helmets for the time being there. But that was what RAGNAROK needed to stay in this game, to have all these ghosts lose their energy, and now the remax for RYUNG will be a whole lot slower because he lost all the production in the main base. Wow, what a play here out of RAGNAROK to finally get a foothold in this game.
Yeah, but you know, it's still not over. RYUNG has a lot of resources. He's remaking all his lost buildings, so many factories with tech labs on them. And he's just gonna go ahead and retreat at home, try to buy some time. He still does have almost max army, and here we go, a lot of Dorito missiles landing on top of those broodlords and corruptors. Gonna go ahead and try to micro and kite away here. Now all the infestors pretty much out of energy. There are only like maybe two infestors left here with energy, so it might do him some good to just retreat and rebuild up those energy back again, and maybe even get add in some Vipers right now. But man, these Vikings are gonna go ahead and give chase. These actually these Liberators actually doing some nice splash damage on these broodlords. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the Liberators are so well upgraded. The splash damage is insane here, and RAGNAROK can really only run at this point. But where is he running to? There are no spore crawlers in these upper bases, and it's looking like RYUNG is just pouncing on it now. The remix is coming in out of RAGNAROK here with just what they call corruptors, but now the Terran Force is in the heart of Zergland here. The Zergland that's still relevant and still mining, and RAGNAROK is trying to best to get back to an army. He's building more brute lords once again, but that was the most crucial fight of the game so far, was that overextension here out of RAGNAROK.
Yeah, and right now RAGNAROK cannot afford to lose any more bases. He's going to run out of creep to even rebuild those buildings that he's going to lose. So this is going to be his stand. I mean, he cannot retreat pretty much any further back. I mean, he's going to have to take the fight.
Yeah, he's going to have to take the fight. There are no infestors to support, so all of these stores are free firing. I mean, I guess there are infestors to support, but they don't have energy, and now the brute lords are just being right-clicked one by one. RAGNAROK is losing the core of his army here, and RYUNG takes the series 2-0.